First story. My entitled mom took her deadbeat boyfriend's side after he abused my brother. So I pepper sprayed him, took my brother, and cut ties with her. Now she's begging for reconciliation because she didn't have money to support her drug habits. My 17F live with my mom and my little brother. 6 months ago, my mom moved in with her new boyfriend. Let's call him David. David is short-tempered, loud, obnoxious, and overall just a freeloader. When my mom first moved him in, she told him he would need to pitch in. These are things that everybody in the house does, even my little brother 8. I myself do the kitchen, the main bathroom, my room, my bathroom, and the living room, on top of contributing about $500 a month toward bills. I never much minded this because my mom busts her arse every day at work and does extremely long shifts at the hospital. Even still, she doesn't make that much, so I decided to start taking over our phone bill, and the rest of the money goes to food for the house. I graduated from high school early in June 2022 and decided to take a gap year before college so I could save up and help out more so my mom could get on her feet. This was all going really well until David moved in. David is self-employed, meaning he does Uber for about 3 hours a day max. The rest of the day he spends in front of the TV, running up the electric bill. But it's not enough for David to add more to the bills he does not participate in paying. David selfishly eats and drinks everything in the fridge. And anytime he's confronted about it, he says, "It's just food. One of you can run out and get some more." If that wasn't enough, David never cleans up after himself. He'll do things like leave the refrigerator open, spill things on the floor or counters, and just not pick them up, or leave plates of food on the couch or by the window. I have even found cups in the bathroom. And it's not just disgusting living habits. It's his disgusting personality to match them. David is constantly rude to my little brother. He yells at him for doing harmless kid things like laughing too loudly at the TV or struggling with homework. He'll even go as far as to say, "If it were up to me, I would beat him every time he does that." I'm quick to remind David that it's not up to him, so he can get the thought out of his head. But apparently it didn't click for him. On Saturday, me and my brother were sitting at the table doing arts and crafts like we usually do over the weekend, because during that time I don't work. That day in particular, we were making slime. He did really well on a math test, and it was something he had been wanting to do for a while. As he was playing with it, some of it accidentally got on his clothes. It honestly wasn't a big deal because it's Elmer's glue and detergent. I went into the bathroom to get a washcloth to wipe it out. I did the best I could before I went into the wash, and that is when I heard a loud, clapping noise, and then my little brother let out a blood-curdling scream. I wasn't sure what happened, so I grabbed my pepper spray and ran in to see what had happened. David had slapped my brother across the face after seeing the slime on his shirt. I walked into David yelling at my little brother, and I was completely horrified. I picked up my brother, carrying him to my room. I tried calming him and seeing if he was okay. While I was doing this, David was following behind me, still yelling, so I took my pepper spray and sprayed David while telling him to get the F out of my house. Once he was out, I removed the spare key from the back door, locked everything, threw all of his SHT out of the window, and immediately called my mom. I was honestly shocked by her response to the whole situation, because she told me that while it was wrong of David to slap my brother, I took it too far and possibly ruined her relationship with David, and she wasn't sure how she would fix it with him. With that sentence alone, I'm pretty sure she just ruined my relationship with her, and I'm not sure what to do from here. My little brother is still really shaken up, and so am I. I'm pretty sure she's planning on moving David back in. I'm really lost on what I should do. Did I make the situation worse? What should I do? Am I the arsehole? OP comments. We don't really have any other immediate family. I have a dad, but I and my brother have different fathers. I know my dad would be okay with it, but I'm not sure my mom will let me take my brother, and I'm afraid that by getting the police involved, we could get separated. My brother's dad is not in the picture. He lied to my mom about being married. When she got pregnant, he said he wanted nothing to do with my brother. I wouldn't even know where to contact him if I wanted to. Neither of us has heard from him since my brother was 2. I genuinely have no idea where he is. He cut off all contact with my mother. He pays no child support or anything like that, so I don't think there's a way to track him through the courts. My mother is estranged from her family because a close relative sought her when she was young. I have no way to contact him, and quite frankly, I don't want to because I'm not sure it would be a better situation given the allegations. Being in separate homes that are both safe is a F of a lot better than being together in a house where you are both in constant danger. Priorites. That sounds great theoretically, but I actually spent time in the system, and it was anything but safe. David is not back in the house as of this moment. and I'm trying to get everything in order before my mom tries to move him back in. In the meantime, I have moved my brother's mattress into my room, and he is sleeping there just in case anything happens. I promise you, he is my top priority. And what happens when you head to college and the dude is still there? Please listen to what people are telling you and start a paper trail of the abuse. Take pictures of bruises, etc. If he has them. I was supposed to go to college in the beginning of September with a full ride, but I'm considering not going. It's starting to look like my only option is moving in with my father and bringing my little brother with me until I can get stable enough to support us both on my own. If I can convince my mom to let me take him and everything works out legally. I'm so sorry that all of this has happened to you and your brother. I wish I could help. I've read a lot of good advice here. Please follow all instructions for contacting the police. Thank you. I'm definitely taking everyone's advice into consideration. I've been researching restraining orders and different ways to legally approach this since it happened, so I can see my best options moving forward. Any advice I'm given right now is definitely taken into consideration and not ignored. I appreciate you and everyone else's kind words, and just in general, taking the time to listen to me, as that is something that I've been struggling to get my mom to do with this situation, and it means so much to me. Judgment. Definitely NTA. Update. Wow. For starters, I just want to say thank you to all of the amazing people who gave me advice and validated my feelings in this situation. I was starting to feel like there was no way out, and I couldn't escape. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everyone's words so much. There are a few common questions and comments that I would like to clear up. First off, we do not have any other immediate family to stay with. My mother is estranged from her family because a close relative sought her when she was young. Even if I could reach out to them, that would most likely not be a safe option. The only person is my dad. However, since me and my brother have different biological dads, I'm not sure if that will be harder to go about legally. Second, I have gotten a lot of inbox messages from people cursing me out and berating me for not immediately going to CPS and the cops. I know now that it is what I should have immediately done when the situation happened, and it comes across as me just being selfish. However, I spent time in the system myself when I was younger because of a substance abuse problem with my mom. It was not pretty. I had to deal with things like mental, physical, and SA. The main reason I didn't go to the authorities immediately was because I did not want to put my brother in that situation. Third, happening camp. Some people have asked, why haven't any of his teachers said anything? School has not started back up yet, and my brother is in a camp. This specific camp helps kids who have things like autism or ADHD get immersed in learning, so things are easier for them when they transition into school. Note the test. My brother is autistic, but highly functional and does have ADHD. David is on the pickup list for camp, so I took the week off of work to spend at home with my brother, because I don't want to risk anything happening, and my mom won't take him off the list. I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to cover for my mom or David. Update. Today, I left my brother with a friend of mine very early in the morning. Hopefully, by the time I pick him up tonight, everything will be sorted out. I got back home around 7 a.m. and called my dad, letting him know about what's been going on. He said he suspects that my mom might be using it again, because that's the only logical answer for why she could be acting like this. I'm not sure why I didn't piece that together, and it's definitely my fault for not noticing the signs, the spoons I kept finding in the bathroom, the nosebleeds, the behavior. I honestly feel like an idiot, because I didn't even consider it a possibility. I thought she had changed. Anyway, my dad said that me and my little brother were more than welcome to stay with him. My mom arrived from work at about 8:30, if that's even where she's been. I asked her if she was using it again. She denied it the first few times I asked, but eventually admitted it. Based on everything else I said, some of you might have already guessed it, but she also admitted that David has been taking them with her. I made it clear to my mother that I and my little brother would be staying with my father moving forward. I will no longer be supporting her or her drug habits unknowingly. We got into a screaming match, and she left the house. Honestly, it doesn't even matter if she brings David into the house or not at this point. After finding out that she's using again, my brother is not safe around her either. Me and my brother are leaving either way. I have pictures of my brother's face from when the incident first happened, and I am about to be on my way to the precinct. That's everything that has happened so far. I'm sorry if it's not much of an update, but I will keep everyone posted on what's happening. And again, thank you to everyone for the advice. Comments. Hey OP, I hope everything is alright with you. Everything is much better now that I and my little brother are settling into our new lives. Your dad is great for offering up his place to you both. I hope you and maybe even him are able to get custody of your brother, so he is forever safe. For college, don't give it up. Maybe cut back on classes and go to one near you, or even online for a bit. You and your brother both deserve happiness. Final update. Hi. I'm sorry to everyone who has been waiting for an update. I know it's been a while, but I just wanted to have time with my brother to get adjusted to our new life. Me and my little brother are now safe and living with my dad. My father hired a good lawyer, and everything has been worked out legally. My mother has since signed away all her rights to me and my brother. She was charged with endangerment of a minor, and so was David. She has been sentenced to 3 years of probation. David has received a prison sentence of 364 days. I have decided to go out of contact with my mother, as has my little brother. Before anyone asks, no, I am not forcing him to not speak to my mother. My brother recently opened up to me and said that my mother would treat him badly when I wasn't around, doing things like putting her cigarettes out in his food and still making him eat it or spitting on him. I wish I could have known earlier and been a better sister to him. I plan to spend the rest of my life making it up to him. I'm happy to say that I decided not to drop out of college before even starting, and I want to say thank you to everyone who advised against it. I am not living on campus in my first semester. Instead, I have decided to commute. It is about an hour's drive from where my dad lives. However, my father doesn't mind driving me until I'm able to save up for a car. I plan to live on campus either my second or third semester, but I just want to make sure my brother is fully adjusted to his new home before I leave them anywhere. He will be starting school in about a week, and I know it will be a challenge for him. Being that we live with my dad now, he won't be able to go to the same school anymore, and starting at a new place will be a big deal for him. Overall, everything worked out. I do wish my mother and David had more of a consequence for their actions, but I guess some type of consequence is better than none at all. I again want to say thank you to everyone who supported me through this journey and gave words of encouragement and amazing advice. Through this process, I did lose some of my friends and people who I thought were really close to me, but all of their support really helped me get through it. Comments. I am so proud of you for stepping up to the plate for you and your brother. And I agree that it's best to stay far away from your mother. All the best with your studies and your future endeavors. Please continue to keep your brother safe. Thank you for the support and kind words. I'm going to do my best. I can move forward to be there for my brother. Second story. Entitled Mom Slapped OP's Wife. And his response was to kick both his wife and their newborn baby out of the house. Now he's begging to reconcile after she filed for divorce. Including wife's response. My situation went from bad to worse in a matter of a week, and I don't know where else to turn. I need to know if I was wrong. Possibly a validation thing because life is effing dumb right now. My wife and I have been together for 8 years, and she just gave birth to our first and last baby 2 months ago. Up until my wife got pregnant, my mom loved her. I'm not sure what is wrong with my mom or why the switch happened. But after my wife got pregnant, my mom started being very clingy to me and started avoiding my wife at all costs. She told everyone she wasn't excited about the pregnancy, etc. I threatened to have no contact with her when my wife was about 7 months along, and after that, she snapped out of it for the most part and stopped being so ignorant. The comments have 100% stopped, at least. Though she was still clinging to me. A week ago, my mom, my sister's husband, and my sister's daughter 12 came over for dinner. I prepared the meal. Before my wife could eat anything, our daughter got fussy, so my wife excused herself to go feed the baby and get her down to sleep. I thought I prepared enough, but apparently not because my niece was still starving. She's 5'5" and 190 pounds. I haven't seen her in a year, and she was not that size then, so I didn't exactly portion in an extra 3 helpings for a child, so it's on me. I apologized, told her that I hadn't made any more, and offered her crackers as I was putting my wife's portion in the fridge. After that, I just went outside with my sister's husband to smoke a cigarette and shoot the breeze. I didn't think anything of it. But then I hear yelling from inside. When I walked in, my wife and my mom were screaming at each other. Apparently, my mom, who saw me put my wife's food away, gave my niece my wife's portion of food. As I was walking inside, I heard my mom say, "It looks like you can afford to skip a meal," and she slapped my wife's stomach. Right as soon as I get ready to step in, literally fast walking toward them, yelling enough, my wife wins back and punches my mother square in the face and drops her. The whole house went silent outside of my mom, crying and holding her face. I tell everyone to get the F out. Immediately everyone leaves, and my wife just turns toward the counter and leans with her hands on the counter, face down, eyes closed. I look at my wife and say, "You too, leave now." She says, "Really?" She's crying at this point. I say a clipped, "Yup." She packs up herself and the baby and leaves. I texted her that night and said I just needed space. I need to decompress and come to terms with what just happened. She doesn't respond. The next 5 days I'm texting and calling, and I get nothing. She shows up here today, so 8 days later, and hands me divorce paperwork and my baby and says, "Here, you have a bit to hang out with her while I pack. Where I'm breastfeeding, we can work out a visitation schedule that is either at your place or my mother's until she will take a bottle." I told her that's not what I wanted. I don't want to separate. I just needed time to process her punching my mother in the face. She said, "You needing time to process gave me time to process the fact that I refuse to be in this situation any longer." I defended myself. I initially felt bad and remorseful, but you're making me leave when I needed it made me see things more clearly. I'm done. I'm sorry for what I did, but there's no fixing this. She refused to speak to me at all the rest of the time that she was here. My house feels so empty, and I don't know what to do. Ada for making her leave after she punched my mom. I just needed some effing space. Ada. For the record, I am team wife. My mom deserved it wholeheartedly, and I've blocked her completely from my life. I literally just needed time to process what happened. My wife is a lot of things. Violent is not one of them. So this came completely out of left field, and would not have happened without her being provoked. After it all happened, my mom sent me a text saying, "See? I told you she was crazy. That fat bee doesn't belong in our lives." I'm willing to bet she purposely tried to set my wife off. So no, I'm on my wife's side 100%. I truly just needed to process what happened, and my wife took it as me giving up on her, not defending her, and throwing her and our baby out, which did essentially happen because I knew she had to take the baby with her when I kicked her out. Ada. The reason why. My dad was stupid and abusive. I was beat. My sisters and my brothers were beat. My mom was put in the hospital multiple times. It took years for police to enforce restraining orders, and he finally died in 2013. Violence scares the F out of me. I clam up and get anxious around violence of any kind now. My wife knows this, and she too grew up with a violent dad-stepfather, and she gets just as anxious and panicky around violence. Her punching my mom in the face triggered an anxious response, and I needed her gone in that moment. I needed it far away from me. I don't know why I didn't just leave. I could have. But in that moment, I just let my emotions and fear run the whole effing circus and told everyone to get out, her included. My mom did slap her first. I guess for some reason, I was seeing my wife's punch as being worse than the slap. It wasn't a hard slap, but my wife did kind of wince, looking back on it now. She was fine following, but my mom was bleeding. Split her eyebrow open in good shape. I don't know. Thanks for the responses. I'm going to try to go kiss arse now. Comments. Celtic Muse Books. So, to recap. You allowed your mommy to verbally abuse your pregnant wife for months, but still invited her into your wife's home. You stood there while your mother insulted and punched your wife in the abdomen, where she's been growing your child for the past 9 months. Then, when your pregnant wife defended herself from your bag of garbage, you put your wife and child out of their home so you could process. Seriously, you put your wife and infant child out of their home instead of you leaving to pull yourself together and stop being a mama's boy. You showed your wife who you truly were that night. Less than. Not a real husband, not a real father, not a real man. How is she ever supposed to unsee that? YT a dude, a huge trails ya. Your BTCH mom is the one who got physical first. YTA. My wife is a lot of things. Violent is not one of them. So this came completely out of left field. Because she was defending herself from your BTCH mom. Deleted. And instead of thinking, holy crap, how have I let it come to this? He booted his wife and infant out onto the street. I can't see that there's any coming back from this. Mickle Pickle 2018. Processing what happened is one thing. But not supporting your wife and kicking her out is another. Your mom is out of line. If you had checked on her a long time ago, it wouldn't have gotten to this point. Your mom treated your wife poorly because you allowed it. Even your mom's text that she sent you shows that she thinks that it's okay to disrespect your wife. I guarantee your wife has been putting up with your mom's crap for a long time. She's had enough. You're not going to win her back. Rude Flamingo 5,420. This 100%. I understand some people need space, but kicking your wife out is a whole other spectrum of RC wholeness. He could have gone for a walk and processed SHT. Kicking his wife out is just. He deserves this divorce, unfortunately. He's definitely the cake cookie. He didn't even rethink when he saw she was leaving with the baby. He essentially threw out his own child as well. A rose. YTA your mother is an abusive person, And your wife reacted after she was provoked. You should have shut her down when she first started acting up. You should have set boundaries. You should have protected your wife, who literally just grew and gave birth to your child. You kicked your wife and baby out of their home. You need to process it. Take a walk, go to a different room, watch a movie, or see a friend. Congratulations. You ruined your marriage over several months. This was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Do the decent things and make separating easy. OP comments. My mom did hurt her. She slapped her in the stomach, and my wife winced back in pain before punching her in the face. As a few other people have pointed out, I guess new moms have muscles separated in their abdomens, so given the force with which my mom slapped her in the stomach, like a little bit below the rib cage, a full back-handed slap that could be heard from the door, I guess it's comparable to hitting my wife in her internal organs. Because her stomach muscles aren't healed. I just learned that. I don't know. I can't justify it. I just let my own fear run the situation. Violence scares the SHT out of me. I watched my mom get beat for years. My siblings and I were beat too, but we weren't hospitalized. My wife punching my mom just immediately made the room spin, and I wasn't thinking about the consequences of my actions from that point forward. I'm fully aware that my niece is fat. I'm assuming my mom made her that way. She lives with her. She did it with all her kids growing up. We were all fat Fs because she overfed us, i.e. fat kids are happy kids. None of the nights made sense. I'm starting to see that. My wife sent me a text about 10 minutes ago saying, "Look up emotional incest," with no context. It definitely describes what my mom's doing. I completely blocked her, but it won't help my case. Judgment YTA. Update. 2 months later, from the wife. I'm still grieving the loss of my marriage, but my friend notified me about my husband's post, which had too many specific details that were hard to ignore. To clarify, this is my first time on Reddit. I read my soon-to-be ex-husband's post and wanted to give my side of the story and include details that he didn't provide in his post. For those who hadn't read it, long story short, my husband kicked me out of the house after his mother had physically slapped my stomach in front of him, and I punched her in self-defense. I loved my husband dearly, but his lack of action regarding his mother's behavior was extremely disgusting, to say the least. I tolerated his mom's behavior long enough until I couldn't take it anymore, as he had overlooked his mom's behavior over and over again, until finally I had enough. I was still recovering after giving birth to his child when his mom slapped my stomach, and my husband exaggerated when he said it wasn't a hard slap. The slap itself was hard enough to be heard by everyone in the room. I had lost it at this point when his mother slapped my stomach with a turd-eating smirk that wasn't visible from my husband's point of view. At least that's what my husband claimed. I had a mental breakdown when my husband told me to leave after kicking everyone out of the house. You should have seen his face when he told me to get out with a straight face and without hesitation. Our baby was crying at this point before I left, and I couldn't do anything but cry that night after I went to stay with my mother. His mother sent me a text mockingly saying, "I am going to file charges against you for assault, you fat little W. Now stay the F out of our lives." She ended the text with a smiley face at the end. I was livid and decided I did not want to be associated with this family anymore and served my husband divorce papers. And as you can guess, he didn't take it well and tried to get me to reconsider. I told him that he overlooked his mother's behavior one too many times, and I was done with him and his inability to establish boundaries with his mother. I recommended setting boundaries, but he didn't think it was necessary, even after I told him throughout the pregnancy about the nasty names his mother called me when he wasn't around, and he always brushed it off. Even though he did tell his mom to stop, she would continue this behavior after a short pause for a while. Before I left after handing him divorce papers, he begged me for another chance and told me he had cut contact with his mother permanently. I told him that he was sorry now that I handed him divorce papers, and that he was too late to act now that I had decided I wanted out of the marriage. I told him I loved him so much that he should look at it as a sign that if I hadn't, I would have divorced him long ago because he didn't stand up for me multiple times. And I let his mother's snarky comments and behavior slide at my mental expense. I told him he needed help with the trauma, because I understand that he is dealing with trauma since he already mentioned my abusive stepdad. But he didn't even realize that his mother hadn't gotten him help for his trauma, and that he is still being affected in adulthood. What I can't understand is why he didn't leave if he needed some space instead of being such a heartless bastard and kicking our child out with me. I've been ignoring his texts and calls ever since, and I'm waiting for a divorce hearing. Something that I wanted to point out is that his mother attributed it to his niece's weight gain, since she lives with my husband's sister to save money. I once again told my husband about his niece's weight gain, that it's concerning that she weighs 190 lb at such a young age, and she was indeed not that weight before. On the day of the incident, I was making the niece's second portion of food, and then my husband's mother came towards me and snatched the plate out of my hands and said, "I'll do it myself, let me take care of it." And when I tried to take the plate back, his mother said, "I know what to effing do. You don't know how to properly feed someone as healthy as my grandchild." I was shocked that she thought that her grandchild's weight was normal for her age. I couldn't take this harassment or abuse any longer, and my breaking point was reached when he kicked me and our child out of the house. Now I need to do what's right for our child because she doesn't need to be in a toxic household where she has to witness the drama going on. My soon-to-be ex-husband wants us to do marriage counseling, which I have refused to do because I am done with him. I'm starting to feel slightly guilty about his begging and gaslighting. I just want to be done with him. I've blocked him as recommended by my lawyer, but he keeps reaching out through his other family members and siblings. What should I do to make him go away until the divorce hearing? Comments. Garfagirl. I read your husband's original post. He was very clearly the Your post only confirms this. As far as your question about getting him to leave you alone until the hearing, ask your divorce attorney if they can send him or his family members a cease and desist letter, or send it to his divorce attorney. Designer Carpenter 88. I remember telling your ex-husband that he was the arsey hole. His #1 job as a husband is to stick up for his wife. If my mother had slapped my wife, that would be the last time she saw either of us or our children. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.